happy February, everybody. It is 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It is February 23rd, 2022, and so glad to see the winter season just about over. 60 degrees here in New York the last couple days, and starting tomorrow night, we're going to have some light over here. It's going to be snowing starting tomorrow night into Friday and into Saturday. This is the Joe Sixpack Racing Podcast. This is the official podcast of the Joe Sixpack Racing League. And tonight we're going back to our roots, and we're going to be talking about Joe Sixpack Racing League tonight. We had a fun race hosted last week. It was at Daytona, and it was Al Reed and Robert Tuiscu just decided they wanted to start broadcasting. Well, and here's the backstory about it. So they came up with two drunk guys broadcasting. You see, Albert and Tuiscu, they've pretty much been binge drinking every day since Valentine's Day. So during one of their entourages, their binges, they decided to start a broadcasting company called Two Drunk Guys Broadcasting. Well, they actually went on the air, and then they realized they didn't have anything to broadcast. So to save face, Al Reed, one of the admins for the Joe Sixpack Racing League, came up with this really good idea to come up with a short series called Joe Sixpack Racing League Rising Stars Series. And the background on this was, like any racing league, you're going to have certain group of drivers that are always going to be up top, certain group of drivers that are going to be in the middle, and a certain group of drivers that are always going to be in the back. So in order to give the dedicated drivers that show up every week a chance to race and a chance to win, they came up with the Rising Stars series to kind of make their two drunk guys broadcasting legit. And that's what this broadcast is all about tonight. We're going to talk about that series, and we're going to introduce the drivers, the 12 drivers that are chosen to do this series, and we also have the tracks and the setups that we're going to talk about tonight. And then near the end, for Dover this weekend, this coming Sunday, it is one of our most popular themed races. It's not really a throwback, but it is Toontown. And I know we got a lot of new drivers in the league this year, so we're going to explain what Toontown is, and we got a really cool prize for the best paint scheme, which is going to be chosen by PTM Racing TV. Chris Shriver is going to pick our winner that time. So anyway, the story behind Two Drunk Guys, which now all of a sudden has morphed into Two and a Half Drunk Guys. And when they went on and didn't have anything to broadcast, because like I said, they've been binge drinking since Valentine's Day. When they finally sobered up or made bail, I haven't decided yet. I haven't decided. They haven't told me what it is yet. They decided to come up with the Joe Sixpack Racing League Rising Stars. And knowing that when the evening stars arose, they would be binge drinking again. And Al just came up with, and I don't know how he figured this one out, figuring that 12 constellations make up the zodiac, as well as the number 12 makes up a 12-pack, as you can see. There you go. Irish, got the Guinness out. I am Irish. Celebrating there, Al. So, and figuring that, like I said, 12 constellations make up the zodiac, as well as 12 bottles make up a 12-pack, Al figured 12 drivers was the right number for the Rising Stars series. And I guess if you're binging, you find a number and you stick with it, because that seems to be the one that worked out pretty well there. So I decided not to argue with such brilliance, or with two drunk guys to begin with, and they did the broadcast on Daytona as a fun race a couple weeks ago, actually last week, and it was really, really good. Well, they found Dave LaMaga, one of our other admins, along the side of the road, and he was sober. So they felt sorry for him, and they asked Dave Lomaga to join. And since they weren't sure if Dave Lomaga partakes in binge drinking, they decided to change the name of the company to 2.5 Drunk Guys Broadcasting. And they did the Daytona race. I think it was 70 laps or 80 laps at Daytona, and it was in-hosted. So it was your typical Daytona Wreckfest. We started out with 30 cars on the track, and by the end of the race, there were 8 of us left, and I started in the back on purpose. Normally, when I'm in our leagues, I start pretty far back, especially in the truck series. So our truck series is incredibly competitive this year. And so I looked at all these people coming in that weren't part of Joe Sixpack Racing League, and I said, I'm just not even going to qualify. I'm going to go to the back. And it turned out to be the best thing going, because I ended up winning the race just coming into the final turn. I ended up coming in first place, and that was like, wow, I did it. And it was really funny, because during the race, when I went back and watched it, they saw I was going in for a late pit stop, and you could hear Dave Tuiscu and Al saying, Greg, what are you doing? Oh, you can't take a pit stop now. What are you doing? Well, I did, and it turned out it worked out fine, because I got a splash of fuel, 2 left side tires, and on the restart, that last restart on the green-white checker, I started 6th and ended up winning the race. And I don't win that often. So that's how those 3 got in, and it turned out to be a really good broadcast. And now we are going to introduce the 12 drivers. Again, these are some new drivers, some veteran drivers in the league that have never won a race in Joe Sixpack Racing League, but they show up consistently. They're good drivers, and this 3-race series is going to be a blast, and they're working on some prizes for it. We're working on the dates. We settled on the tracks and the format tonight. And without further ado, brought to you by Guinness Extra Stout for St. Patrick's Day, the 12 drivers that are being invited to the Joe Sixpack Racing Rising Stars Invitational include myself, and I've never won an official Joe Sixpack Racing League race. The closest I've come is 3rd on one time, and I think that was in Season 4. Jeff Barefoot, he's a new driver with us this year, shows up every week and has a blast, and great driver, good guy to get along with. Wayne Dewey, who I think joined us in Season 4, is another driver we've invited. Brian Wojcik, I think it's D. Wells, Darrell Wells, and D. Hartney. Surprise, surprise, you said earlier that you didn't make it, and I said, how do you know? No one knows yet. Frank Norman, Gene Cato, John Lomaga, brother of Dave Lomaga, G. Wright, Jason Wiley, and I believe it's Robert Kelm, who showed up for a couple of races this year, and he was also pretty active in our Formula V series. Our Formula V series, we just didn't have the turnout. I was kind of surprised, because the Formula V car is so much fun to drive. And when you go to the hosted races or the official races on Formula V, there's hundreds of drivers. But anyway, maybe it was the Thursday night, but we wrapped that league up so that we can go forward in Season 5 with our Premier Series, which is going to take our upper echelon drivers and throw them up even another rung and compete on a higher level. And then the Cup Series is going to go back Season 5 to a 2,000 I-rating cap. And so that's the one reason we raised it, the I-rating cap this year, was to let some new drivers come in and then feed them up into the higher series. But Sunday afternoons, the Cup Series as it is now is going to be called Prime, and that's still going to be our main series and broadcasted. So it's myself, even though I'm a league admin and owner, never won a race, and Al Reed was the one who picked these drivers out. Jeff Barefoot, Wayne Dewey, Brian Wojcik, Darrell Wells, I believe it's David Hartney, Frank Norman, Gene Cato, John Lomaga, Gary Wright, Jay Wiley, and Robert Kelm. You are the 12 drivers that are being invited to the Joe Sixpack Rising Stars Series Invitational. And I know it says on the bottom, stay tuned for tracks. We've got that figured out. And you stay tuned for other dates and pertinent information, and it's subject to change based on how drunk these 2.5 guys really are, how hungover they are, what their bail status is, and any release dates from the detox unit. So that's the 12 guys that are going to be driving. Welcome. We hope you can make it. I think we're looking at either Monday nights or Saturdays to do this series, and it's going to be a little earlier in the evening so that Al can go to bed after binge drinking all day, because he's over there in Ireland and he's 5 hours ahead of us, or at least he says he's in Ireland. Maybe he's in Boston. He thinks he's in Ireland. He just uses that as excuse to go to bed early so that he can get up and do some binge drinking next there in the morning. So there you have it. It's for the 2.5 Drunk Guys broadcasting. It's broadcast live on Twitch. And during the Daytona race, we had Robert Tuisku's Robert's Random Cautions, Robert's Random Wave-Arounds, and Robert's Random Green, White Checkers or Ejection. So he's not going to be allowed to do that for this series. So Al's already said he's going to take the admin responsibility away from Tuisku and probably give him a drink for his other hand. And that's how it's going to be for the 3 races. Now we're going to introduce the tracks that we're going to be doing. The tracks for the Next Gen Rising Stars series are Concord, and these are all free tracks. It'll be 150 laps at Concord, Southern National, 150 laps. These are all short tracks, of course, and 150 laps at Lanier. They're going to be the Next Gen cars, but because they're short tracks, and probably all of us, I know, especially myself, I know I really suck on short tracks. The cars are going to be set at 75% power. There's going to be 3 quick fixes for each race, 50% fuel, and a rather generous 5 sets of tires. And this is going to be consistent for all 3 races. And the 3 tracks are Concord, Southern National, and Lanier. Now, the rationale behind doing short tracks instead of super speedways is we've invited 12, and we're not sure all 12 are going to be able to make it. And if you can't make it on the nights we pick, as soon as we release the dates, let us know and we'll get your replacement in there. So let's say we have 12 drivers show up. We invite 12, 8 show up, 2 wreck. It's not a lot of fun watching 6 cars drive around a super speedway. So that's why it's going to be short track. And I know I'm going to be challenged because I guess I'm not good in the turns, because I'm really good on long straightaways, but you throw a lot of turns in there and that kind of screws up my racing. Like Watkins Glen. I always said about Watkins Glen the first 4 seasons, if there's 18 cars, I'm going to finish 21st. And that's how it goes there. So those are the tracks, and again, it's going to be the Next Gen car that we're driving now at 75% power. 3 quick fixes, 5 tire sets for each track, 50% fuel, and it's Concord, Southern National, and Lanier at 150 laps each. And in case it's a wreck fest, the admins will send us back to single file restarts if we're wrecking too much, or if there's 5 cautions in 5 laps or a certain amount of time. So it's going to be, sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun there. Want to let you know about Lug Coin. This is going to be our prize for the winner of the Joe Six-Pack Racing Series and the Rising Stars. And it's also going to be a prize for Toontown on Sunday. And for those of you that don't know about Lug Coin, it's a totally voluntary charter system for the league. And what it is, it's our own private crypto coin. You can't buy it on it or trade it online. It's kind of, you call it a mem coin or something. I looked at actually minting a real coin for us to use, but New York is very tough on their banking laws. If you found a minting site that you could work with, their wallet that they recommended for the site didn't work, or if you found a wallet, their minting site didn't work, and the gas fees, which they charge to make the coin, ran anywhere from $200 to $500, and there's no way I'm shelling out that much money for that. So anyway, Lug Coin is a 100% voluntary, and it's the price is determined by 3 regular cryptos: a large cap regular crypto, a mid cap metaverse crypto, and then a very small cap off market crypto coin there. And basically what it is, you can buy them. It's minimum $10 to buy. You get a picture of the coin and how many in the date you bought. It can go up in value. It can go down. And what's cool about it is when you leave the league, you can sell your charter back to the league and we split the profits. So I don't know of any other league out there where you, number one, it's voluntary, or if you are in other leagues and you join a race fee, and unless you win, you don't get anything back. But here, when and if you leave the league, you can either leave your money with us, and that helps to offset the broadcasting fees and such like that, which we are spending, I believe, about $300 a month on broadcasting, not fees, for the 2 leagues that we broadcast, and that doesn't include race time or any random prizes, such like that. And if the value goes up, you sell it back, and you and I split the profits. The 50% you get, 50% goes back to the league. And that's what Lugcoin is. And you can see it every day updated on, try to get updated on Facebook, but it is definitely updated every day, sometimes twice a day, on our Discord on the Lugcoin channel there. Now, we didn't race on Sunday, of course, because it was the Daytona 500. This Sunday at Dover, it's 150 laps, and it's our annual Toontown race. So get your favorite cartoon character out, your favorite TV commercial character, your favorite cereal commercial, your favorite magazine car, comic book hero. Paint your car up on it, and we're going to let our broadcaster pick out the best paint job out there, and the winner of that is going to get $10 worth of Lugcoin at the winner of the race. And that's this Sunday at Dover. I will have the setups and everything up for Dover by tomorrow night, so you guys can get out there and practice. I'm trying to stay several days ahead instead of releasing the setups for the day or two before the race. So it'll be at Dover on Sunday afternoon, 150 laps, daytime race, and everything will be set up and announced on our page, our Discord, tomorrow afternoon. Another way to support the Joe Sixpack Racing League is the Joe Sixpack Racing merch shop, which is at cafepress.com/Joe Sixpack Racing League. And you can find, I think there's over 500 different items with the Joe Sixpack Racing logo, the Truck Series logo, the Cup Series logo, and you can also buy stuff for the Joe Sixpack podcast logo. Every purchase that you make, $5 of each purchase of every item goes to the league to help offset broadcast expenses and prizes and such like that. And if it's still cold where you are, there's a 50 by 60 fleece blanket out there. There's a Joe Sixpack hoodie during Christmas. We had Christmas ornaments, so you can still go back and buy them. And that's the Joe Sixpack Racing merch shop at cafepress.com/Joe Sixpack Racing League. And that's it for this special edition of the Joe Sixpack podcast, where we had some other guests line up that we're trying to get them in, but they're both very busy with NASCAR and ARCA right now. We got a couple NASCAR pit crew guys there and one ARCA over-the-wall guy, and they also have iRacing leagues that we're trying to get in, and they keep calling up and saying they're really busy. So if you know anybody out there that wants to be a guest on the Joe Sixpack podcast, any racing history, you could do slot car racing. We'll talk about that, racing photography, any real life racing that you've done. Get your friends together, get your team together, and say, hey, Greg, I want to go on and hear myself talk for a while. I'll be more than glad to do that. So you can give me a shout on Discord or on Facebook, the Joe Sixpack Racing League page on Facebook, and say, hey, I want to be a guest on the show. Usually do it live on Wednesday nights, but if Wednesday's not good for you, we can do it any other time except Thursdays or Sundays when the league is racing. We record it right here on Twitch. I upload it to YouTube, and then the day after I extract the audio onto Anchor FM, and then it goes out to about 24 different podcast hosts all around the world, including Google. We're on Amazon. We're on Apple Podcasts, Shoutcast, Spotify, and a bunch of others. So if you miss it here on Twitch, you can watch it forever on YouTube and hear it forever out there on Spotify or Anchor FM. That brings us to the end of the Joe Sixpack podcast. And again, congratulations to all 12 drivers that are invited into the 3 races over 3-week series, the Joe Sixpack Racing Rising Stars Series, brought to you by 2.5 Drunk Guys Broadcasting, as well as the Joe Sixpack podcast. And as usual, have yourselves a good night, and we'll see you on the track. Good night.